how are you? Wednesday, Kate. Midway through our panic week. I think it's the first description of what happens this week.
But I think I can speak for all the staff. There's only one person in this place that panics. But we'll not mention names.
Who that?
You don't know him.
I don't know him. You're right. It's not that I panic. I just stress. I want it to be right. Look, if I stop panicking, if I stop stressing.
Anywho, let's talk about Scotch.
Scotch, yeah. We have again, stop saying stuff, Anthony. I'm not going to say stop saying shit. Stop saying stuff that you repeat every month, and this is the biggest thing of Scotch. But it genuinely is. There's some cracking. There was a bit of a house clearance involved in this. A gentleman had collected whiskey over many, many years, and some of them have come up for auction, and it is just an absolute treasure trove of older bottles. There's some modern stuff too, and it's lovely. I think there's an element of sadness in it. There really is an element of sadness in it for me, because some of the bottles have little stickers on it that he wrote on it that when he bought them at auction and all of that sort of stuff. So his passion, his lifetime of collecting, and it's getting sold. There's a wee tinge of sadness in that with me, because is that what happens? Is that what it's about? And you know, I hope he was happy doing it, because that's what was ticking his boxes for doing that. But now it gets sold off, and look, and again, you can't blame a family. I mean, it's an extensive collection. We've only a few bottles. They've done it as a tester with us, and it's an extensive collection, and they just want to sort of, again, when people are left with hundreds of bottles, what do they do with them? And that is a challenge. We're always willing to talk to families and talk to people and all that sort of stuff. Unfortunately, it is a side effect of a person passing away. But as a consequence, you guys out there in the whiskey world get a chance to buy bottles that don't normally come up on Irish whiskey auctions, and there's some real crackers of bottles. So I just thought it very appropriate to talk about it. I wanted to talk about the elements of what we do here in the business at times. I mean, I know Robert went and met the family and spoke to them, and again, look, we will always look after these things, and that's the one thing that we pride ourselves on is the personal approach in that. And if all else fails, I'll go down to them. And
no.
Does that not work?
No, you're better off standing, Robert.
Some of the bottles. An Aberlour 1964. So that's a 25-year-old single malt from the Aberlour distillery. Bottled in 1989. Presentation box. They are in demand. Aberlour, just a fantastic whiskey. Abunna is probably one of my sort of go-to whiskies from Aberlour. It's just a real easy drinking sherry bomb, and I do like it. It's one of them real good ones. Beside that is something that is very special. So this is a 25-year-old single malt from the Glenlivet distillery, and it's the Royal Wedding Reserve, bottle number 32. This was bottled to commemorate who is now King Charles, but Prince Charles' wedding to Diana. And I think that's a definite collector piece in the years to come. If not now, it's a collector's piece as well. But it's gorgeous. I love the frosted bottling, and we've another one of the Glenfiddichs down there as well. But the lightly frosted bottle, and there's a bit of piece on George Smith, who was the founder of the Glenlivet distillery in 1792. He lived 1792 to 1871. That's a fair old innings, isn't it?
Okay, man.
That's not bad for back then. I mean,
that's actually quite good.
Obviously, drinking whiskey keeps you going.
He was rich, babe.
He was rich.
Yeah.
Is that the key to it?
Yeah.
Being rich.
Well, back then, yeah.
He didn't die of syphilis, or what did he die? Well, he probably did die of syphilis. Rich people probably got all that sort of stuff.
The
pox. That's a real Dublin statement. Go on, you pox, you. Next to that, we have two weird ones. And again, these exist in such a funny space. Is Bell's Scotch whiskey. Bell's decanters were massive about 10-15 years ago, if not more. Everybody wanted a Bell's decanter, and they were highly collectible. And then they fell off the planet. And now you're doing well if you can get anything for them. But these two are rather special ones in it. So this is the Millennium one done, the Millennium decanter, an 8-year-old Bell's whiskey. It's probably one of the few with an age statement on it as well. But it's a cracking whiskey, lovely presentation.
The bottle's cool.
The bottle is cool. And obviously it was done for the Millennium, so it's a blend of malt and grain. But the one beside it is the 75th birthday of Lizzie, Queen Elizabeth II, not Queen Elizabeth I, because she would have been 410 years old. Queen Elizabeth II in 2001. And again, with her passing, does that make that a wee bit more collectible? One of the things that I don't think many people get about the Bell's decanters, I mean, the gold banding in them is gold. It's not. We've seen ones and they're like 20 karat gold or 18 karat gold that's around the banding and all that sort of stuff. But again, they just don't do it. Bell's has the unfortunate label or name as being one of the few bottles that we've refused on principle.
Oh yeah, we love this story.
There was a bottle of Bell's decanter come in to celebrate Prince Andrew.
Yeah.
And Barry, my business partner at the time, was doing the photography for me at the time, and he said, "There's no way I'm photographing that ton."
Yes, and
yes.
I think they were the words he actually used.
Yes, they were exactly like that.
But I think he might have put a couple more expletives
in them. That and yes.
Yeah.
So there was a bottle of Bell's Prince Andrew commemoration, and I don't know what it was commemorating. It was obviously him getting away with something because
it was him and Fergie's wedding.
Was it him and Fergie's wedding?
That.
Yeah, okay. Well, anyhow, let's not get into who done who or whatever the case might be. But it got refused because we just sort of said, nah, that's not for us. Beside that, a centenary of Glenfiddich celebrating the 100 years. So that was bottled on Christmas Day, believe it or not. 1986. The lads obviously didn't get time off for Christmas Day, so they were in bottling where this bottle of one of a limited number that have been specially filled and bottled on Christmas Day in 1986 to commemorate the 100 years in 1987. Beside that, a 1970s release called a Stillman's Dram from Tamnavullen, Glenlivet, again another Glenlivet whiskey from that area. Massive, gorgeous. Kitty,
well,
you that's fashionable. What's that? Is that velour?
Velour, yes.
Is that velour?
Well, it's not velour.
It's really 70s, isn't it? It was just so 70s. And this is the wee bottle number 1106 on the inside of it there. The Stillman's Dram from the Tamnavullen in Banffshire. Gorgeous, gorgeous presentation. Little sticker, is a sticker on the end there as well. But so that's stuff that we sort of think, look, it isn't highly collectible, but sort of should be. On the bottom we have stuff that is, look, if we look as Irish whiskey enthusiasts and Irish whiskey, ambassadors and fans, if you look to Scotch, you can see what's happened there. You've got the certain brands that have these massive highs, as I said earlier on about Bell's went through a massive high of everybody following it. At the minute you've got Springbank, and we've a couple of old Springbanks there on the end. You've got a 10-year-old and a 12-year-old as well, and there's a few of them. There's CVs and there's a few other ones that's in this month's auction as well. There's a good few Springbanks, but again they're highly sought after. I mean, every time the new Springbank comes out, everybody jumps all over it. But aside that, you've got the Macallan. So here's there's two Macallans there in that. So there's the 12-year-old in the tin, which is, they've cut down on that. I mean, again, I presume it was the environmental stuff as well, maybe, that they've cut down on them. And that's something going forward as well. I mean, I know the talk at the minute of Middleton and the new presentation for the 2023 Middleton. It is impressive. I do like it. I think it's the right way forward. Huge company like that to be making movements like that, for the environmental reasons. I know people are saying which it's cardboard or it's recycled and it's made from wood and yada yada yada. But as long as it in turn then can be recycled as well, hopefully that's what happens. But all these things weren't a consideration back then. I mean, there was the tin presentations and all that sort of stuff. So there's a Macallan 12, but there's a Macallan 20s, We sold one of them quite some time back, went for real good money, I believe.
it was a good one.
It was
nearly in our early days.
It was in our very early days. Did it have a train or a hot air balloon or something like that
No,
on the
it
front
was
of
the
it?
same as that.
Was it the same?
Yeah, it was the
I
car.
thought there was 3 releases of that. I think there's 3 releases of that or something like that anyway. Beside that, Glencalder 40-year-old Scotch whiskey. That's from Gordon and MacPhail. Gordon MacPhail makes some cracking. They really do curate some fantastic whiskies, either through their own name or through with other names as well. But it's another cracking one. And there's a Bunnahowen, 1990 Bunnahowen. I know there's lots of guys out there who are big fans of that. And that is a 23-year-old bottled in 2014 Highland Isle Malt, a Hogshead. What am I reading here? And again, yeah, 2014 on the bottom of it. Unfortunately, it was one of the ones. Glenfarclas. There's a good few Glenfarclas in this month's auction. Glenfarclas was one of the original, or not original, but one of the flame fired stills. I mean, they went through. It was flame fired. They migrated to steam, and they found that they didn't fix.
Have the flavours.
Yeah, they just said it didn't. And you can imagine. So, I mean, again, I think that's one of the things that sets Brendan apart up there. Is Brendan? No, Brunnock. What's his name? Your man whose arse is burnt.
Oh, Christo.
Christo. Yeah, he's got his arse is burnt, isn't it?
Yes.
He's getting his whole hole burnt. He's got fire on the name. I suppose my hole would be burnt if there was fire on the name all the time as well. And then there's Bowmore's again, tin presentation legends. They're got highly sought after. And then these, you sort of like these ceramic bottles. That's why you wanted to put them up there as well. So you've got the Glenmorangie, the 150 year centenary or 150 celebration one, and then you've got the Famous Grouse. And anybody who in Ireland doesn't know what Famous Grouse is, go back and look at the adverts.
They never watched it over Christmas.
Some of the best adverts ever done, really are. Just the most charismatic little grouse you've ever seen in your life. Just buckets of attitude.
I used to love them when I was growing up.
Yeah, they were brilliant. They were very, very good. So that's it. Look, that's the range. I mean, there's loads more. There really, truly is this month. I mean, I know I do say it every month, but I mean, some of them are real uber collectibles. I think I'd be interested to see what that royal wedding does. Again, do we shy away from it because we're Irish and the sort of sometimes the anti-English sentiment or the anti-royalty sentiment is still collectible, lads?
Not in the whiskey end, I don't think.
No, but again, some people do. I mean, it's like the bells. It's like, you know, would guys have the Queen Elizabeth decanter on their shelves? I mean, they sort of might have a wee hang up about it, whereas to me,
true.
it's if it's a collectible, it's a collectible.
Exactly.
And you know, we're big enough.
Who's on the front of it?
Exactly. Yeah. Well, apart from Prince Andrew, that's the one thing.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, we won't talk about that
No.
one. Other than that, I mean, look, to get a chance to taste something like that Aberlour, I mean, look at the colour of it. Like, it is just treacly goodness. I mean, look at that. It is just phenomenal. In really, really good condition as well. The label's in really, really good nick for something that was well, obviously it was bottled in 89. And because I'm so old, you have to remember that 1989 was a long time ago.
It was. You don't like to think about it, but it was
34 years ago.
Oh,
kid.
sweet Jesus. Yeah, okay.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, to me, 89 was only like
10 years ago.
10 years ago, 15 years ago. Like 34 years ago.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So it's in really, really good condition, and again, I know that was come out of the set as well. So that's it. Look, I think we're done for today. Back tomorrow. Tomorrow is
Thursday.
We have I don't know what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to leave the big bottles until Friday, and the charity bottle. We've a real good charity story this month as well, so we'll talk about that on Friday. But until then, we shall go. Fare thee well. Goodbye for now.
Bye.